Hi and hello and welcome to episode 38 of 48. We're way down the road on that. Don't even listen. Episode 48 of Going Over. I, of course, am Fred Slow. Alongside me, well, it's no one. Running solo this morning. Got a fun idea for you out there, world of Albuquerque, New Mexico, world of the sports animal fandom, and world of pro wrestling. We're going to talk a little bit about pro wrestling here in New Mexico. We're going to go back and relive the state fair a little bit, talk about the adventure that was. I was able to get out one day, and of the 11 days that pro wrestling was out at the state fair, just kind of put some spotlights on the individuals that are out there. If you're tuned in terrestrially to us, thank you for taking the time on a Saturday morning. That means a lot to us. It has been just absolutely intense. It's been absolutely wild. This Saturday's about as good of a sports Saturday as you're going to find here in Albuquerque. There's a ton going on in the world. Isotopes are wrapping up their season. The Ice Wolves are back in action. Lobos are at home. They're taking on Fresno State. That's going to be a tough one, Lobo fans. So if you don't know, now you're going to find out. But I want the world to be aware that pro wrestling is a part of that story, right? So there's a fun community day going on up in Santa Fe today at the time of the airing. I'm recording the night before. And what it is, they're celebrating Hispanic Cultural Month, right? So it's all the heritage stuff. It's everything that's going on in history. That's September to October 15th. And they asked us to come up. They reached out and they said, hey, we really want luchador wrestling. This is Duke City Championship Wrestling. We're talking about how we're able to get out there and tell stories. And if you're a fan or anyone who supports Duke City Championship Wrestling, do keep in mind that I'm in the ownership group. You are supporting me by supporting that. So with that said, 5:30 terrestrially at the time of this airing, you can come up to Santa Fe, come up and see the International Folk Art Museum. And up there, it's going to be wrestling in the plaza. And it's right there on that Milne Plaza. It's going to be so cool. And we're going to tell a bunch of stories over the course of an hour. So we got a bunch of new performers coming in. They're coming in from all over the Southwest, but it's guys who are real familiar with the art, because the art of luchador wrestling is incredibly different than the stories that Duke City Championship Wrestling normally tells. And we're going to put a lot of respect in that thing. Fernando's going to be out there. Fernando Gonzalez. He's going to do our commentary and talk to the crowd. He's going to do it with a mix of Spanish and English, and it's going to be really cool. We had, this is so fun and a little bit of a disappointment. We had the Versace Mariachi lined up. So Orlando Marquez was going to come out, and originally we had slated this performance for the afternoon. We had a 2:00 show. Well, as the day, and it looks like the crowds are going to increase. There's going to be, for certain, over 1,000 people at this event today. He was going to come out and do the Mexican national anthem, and he was going to come out and do the U.S. national anthem, which was going to be awesome. But now instead we're just going to have like an enthusiasm for it, and we'll do it with all the kind of vigor and excitement that we normally do it with. But it's going to be good. So we'll be out at Santa Fe, like I said, today being the 21st. Come hang out with us. Duke City Championship Wrestling. Lobos game doesn't start till 6:30. So if you want, and I'm not telling you how to live your life, but if you come to Santa Fe, free show, enjoy that. Be a part of the community day at the museum. And then as you're driving back down to Albuquerque, turn on KKOB. Tune into that Lobo football game. Listen to Rob Portnoy. Be a part of that story. And that's going to be tremendous. So thank you to everyone who's going to take the time with us. The past 11 days at the state fair, plus 5 days since we've been post-state fair, 15 days, have just been like a fever dream. It has been, I don't know, unmatched, unreal. You try to come up with verbiage to kind of talk about how you celebrate things. And the world of pro wrestling here in Albuquerque, the world of pro wrestling in the Southwest and New Mexico, has just caught in a flame over the last 18 months, 2 years. And the scene before that, it existed. It was relevant and prevalent, and it was being done in its own way. And now you can't go but a handful of weeks between really good promotions and really good pro wrestling. Duke City Championship Wrestling and Phase One, and some of these other organizations that come to town. And the 11 days at the state fair, the first time pro wrestling had ever been at the state fair, was incredible. By the time we aired last week, we hadn't had our story in the journal, and we're going to sit down with Nikayla McClellan, and Nikayla came out. We're going to do that today on the show. Van and I caught up with her over the week on our 2 Men On program. We're going to rerun that interview with her. She met us at Sadie's, which is just one of our best sponsors for that program. But Nikayla McClellan came out, and she's not like a sports reporter. And I guess you say sports real loosely when you talk about pro wrestling, right? She's not just an entertainment performer. She's not just a good news file reporter. She's a young and up and coming what? She's up and coming from Albuquerque. She went to UNM. She English and journalism and all those things. And she goes to the state fair because she wants to tell the story of the state fair. She wants to talk about the people that come from far and wide. And I saw the press release. It was 517,000 people. Attendance record set at the state fair. Rodeos and concerts and carnival rides and caramel corn and caricatures and I could go down a list of C words all day and it was crazy. But she came out and she wrote this just incredible like front page, and she said it wasn't her first front page, but we'll talk about that too. And she puts right on the front Mr. Happy, who has been a pro wrestler, started a little bit later in his, quote unquote professional career. And he's been a pro wrestler for some time now. And he and I had this real fun conversation about being on the front of the paper. And, Thunder, who just had one of, if not the highlight night of his career, definitely the highlight night of my career. And I believe the highlight night of Hobo Hank's career, inside of a steel cage at the Rio Rancho Event Center. And he's out there, still chugging away at it for however many days he was at the state fair. And the cycle of athletes that we went through at the state fair was incredible. It was a bunch of first timers. It was a bunch of guys that locally from Albuquerque that haven't had a chance to get onto the TV product yet, and that's some feedback that Duke City Championship Wrestling has got. That's some of the feedback is, hey, Fred, or hey, Duke City Championship Wrestling ownership group. Like, where are the local guys at right now? Like, where are those guys at? Well, it's a TV product too. We have to conclude stories. We're in the middle of stories. And that's what we were doing at the Rio Rancho Event Center. We were putting a button on a lot of things. So a lot of these guys who've been training at, local schools or local, and here's the weird part about pro wrestling. You don't have to prove a certificate to anyone that you've trained. You have to prove to the colleagues in the ring. So if it's a local school or a local group or an individual that you really trust, people have gone out and they've learned the skill. They've learned the art of pro wrestling, and that's what it is. It's art. Don't confuse yourself with anything else. I could give you a diatribe on why it should be in the Olympics. So we have all these incredibly fun debuts. 517,000 people not to pro wrestling. Don't be silly. Rodeos and concerts. 517,000 people through the turn gates. They came in. Whatever percent of them saw pro wrestling 11 straight days. They did it. They were part of that thing. And then after that, we turned around less than 1 week later, as wrestling wrapped up on Sunday. I got to go out there one day. Got to go out there in front of, and I think a friend of the show knows this, especially a fan of Two Men On who listens to me Monday through Friday. But here on this Saturday morning program that we're so fortunate to do going over. By the way, Saleh Taylor's not here. He's on assignment. He's literally making Hollywood movies. Like, he's that guy. But as, we continue to tell this story, last Sunday I'm out there and I get to get in front of the ring and I get to get inside the ring and I get, the microphone, and I've never done ring announcing. I don't know anything about that. I've broadcast some of the weirdest stuff in the history of stuff, but I've never done that. So I get it to go in the ring and I get to say, the following match is scheduled for one fall. And it's a moment I've been a part of forever. It's as a kid growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, and going to pro wrestling as a kid. And when the WWE would come to town, WWF at the time, WCW didn't really go around the country like that. And if they did, they kind of stuck to the South, and a bunch of local promotions. Like just saturated with local promotions. And you could find a show within driving distance by the time I started driving, every other weekend or every weekend, if you were so fortunate. Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, SICW, is one of the best promotions in the whole country. St. Louis Anarchy at the time, it's gone through some different iterations, one of the best. Dynamo Pro. There were all these great independent pro wrestling promotions, and you would see them. You would see them where? At homecomings and state fairs and gatherings, and that's what we were doing. We sat down to tell that story, And when we go back and write about it, and I don't for a second think we're gonna come up with a single thing that's individualistic or has not been done before, because I think that's a lot of what pro wrestling is. It's a lot of sampling art from others. But when we go back and talk about it, the state fair was on the bucket list. And I mean, maybe selfishly a little bit, for me, Fred Slow, the entertainer, be able to get in front of the ring in front of a bunch of people and say the following match is scheduled for one fall. And then introduce, some people I got a ton of respect for. And I think it's fun because in the world of entertainment, you're so successful at, and the exception is Van and I on 2 Men On, to not just be business partners and co-hosts, but, legitimately like be best guys. You don't have that everywhere. You don't always have that at work. And that's what pro wrestling is to me. It's a bunch of guys I work with. It's a bunch of guys that want to help. It's a bunch of guys that want to help me. But they're a bunch of professionals. And being able to be absorbed into that is cool. So anyway, to introduce them, and they're doing what? They're doing fun gimmicks. They're not doing their traditional stuff. So, we're debuting fake new characters because we got guys working multiple times a day and tell multiple stories. And how many times can you reapply face makeup? So I'm out there, and I'm talking to the crowd, and a very good friend of mine, Craig Buster, comes up. He owns First Impressions, which, by the way, if you need tchotchkes or anything, he's your guy. That's an unpaid endorsement. So he comes up. He's got his family with him. We got a handful of minutes before the show. I'm like, hey, get up here, young blood. Get up here in the ring. Like, let me show you how to run a rope. This stuff is fun. We're at the state fair. Like, you didn't come here to not have a good time. And the state fair was so generous to us. Set us up right there at gate 1 on that big brick plaza. Awesome. Right there at gate 1 of that big pink brick plaza, and they put us under shade trees. An Albuquerque tent gives us a sweet tent. Yeah, it's wild. These kids get in. People are walking by. You get the microphone. You're doing the Carney thing, step right up. They come over. And then the first match runs 10 minutes? I don't know what it runs when I'm there. And then people are starting to go, no, we got more. Like, hey guys, we're going to do it again. As I record this, it's Friday night, the 20th. I just wrapped up the Ice Wolves game. Big thank you to the Ice Wolves for having me out. It was, hey, let's throw something together for the morning, right? Sully's out of town. So I'm here with the chat. The chat's on fire, by the way. YouTube is Duke City Championship Wrestling on YouTube is our go-to for our TV show. Chat says, what is it that brought you to New Mexico to be a promoter for DCCW instead of an independent in St. Louis? Great question. I have a rich history with St. Louis, and that was my childhood. My childhood was, I think like a lot of people that fall into the world of entertainment, it was checkered. You have this attention so often as a kid, and can that be positive and can that be negative? It can be both, and you try to build these mechanisms, right? Mine was storytelling, mine was entertaining. And in St. Louis, Missouri, you had a handful of options growing up. You work at the steel mill, work at the oil factory, work at the bullet factory, work on the barge. Like, those are your options. They're all good options. I mean, people make admirable livings. Like, they support themselves, they support their family, but there's not necessarily a person in your world saying, hey, Fred, you can host the Tonight Show. Hey, Fred, you can get out there, get in front of a microphone and entertain. And by the way, entertaining is interpretive. The customer's always right in matters of taste. You can create a TV show. You can create a radio show. You can create a whatever show. And in that show, you have a handful of people that really enjoy it. There's this idea in radio. It's called the 100 percentile. I think it's true in pro wrestling too. It's called the 100 percentile. And what it is, it's you have 100% of your audience, right? 100%. And 20% of that audience will never give you a shot. Like, you will never one time, because the 4-letter acronym of DCCW is not the same acronym of whatever pro wrestling organization they loved. It's not WWE. It's not AEW. It's not NWA. It's not previous wrestling promotions in Albuquerque. You'll never get that 20. There's another 20% that you'll have from the jump. There's another 20% of your audience that you are almost flawless, cannot do wrong. They will support you through thick and thin. and they get fat with you on the thick and they starve with you on the thin. And that 20% is tremendous. And then you end up with what? 60% in the middle. And that 60% of fan base needs it. They need to be convinced. You got to keep telling them stories. You got to keep making them inviting. And it's little things. I'll give you an example. The historic El Rey Theater, it's the chairs we get from the Rio Rancho Event Center. These are 3-inch cushion chairs. Like, we keep you comfortable. This is innovation around characters and storytelling and new equipment and, future sponsors. And that 60% needs that, because I'm not confused on the value of what we're asking for. $20 is a lot of dollars. To me, that's a lot of dollars. You give me $20, your $20, that is yours. You got that through whatever means you acquire that $20. And if it's the first $20 in your pocket, heck yeah. Thank you for giving that to me. If it's the last $20 in your pocket, heck yeah. Thank you for giving that to me. And I want to make sure, in value of what? Time spent, product, entertainment, hopefully fellowship. We can give that back in spades. I can give that to you in more than worth $20. Yes. Package it. Send it out. Live event. Free event. TV event. You want to buy a Fabulous Freddie Fame t-shirt? There's one. We have one. I don't know why we have one. I only sold 2. 2 people bought it. You know what 2-men on shirts do? They go like crazy. I get on the radio Monday through Friday and I say, hey, this, that, the Lobos, people love the shirt. This is the wildest thing. Oh, we're at the break. I got a little soliloquy here. Hit the break. When we get back from it, I'll absolutely continue down this rabbit hole, talking the world of pro wrestling, talking the big event at the Santa Fe International Folk Art Museum that's going on today. We're going to wrestle at 5:30, but the event starts at 1. We're going to be up there all day too. So get up there, check out all the museums on Milne Plaza. They are absolutely free to access. It is an absolute banger. And we know you're going to help the Albuquerque Sign Language Academy and their fun event in Bernalillo. We know you're going to watch the Lobo game at 6:30. That's going to be the kickoff. We know there's so much going on. Sunday Night Hosier's in town. You're going to have a banger weekend. We're going to be a part of it. And then on the 26th, Thursday the 26th, because the boys are back to Thursday because high school and collegiate sports, and we're not interested in making you choose, come and hang out with us at the historic El Rey Theater. We'll be back after the break. It's going over on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. You know what's so funny, chat? And I'll go back to the radio show here in a second. I sat down to do this thing solo, which, by the way, solo radio, not the most fun in the world. I don't know where I put my phone. I think it's upstairs. Ha! I roll through it. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to Going Over. I, of course, am Fred Slow, and I'm running solo today, recording on a Friday night for a Saturday morning, and excited to be here with you. This is a banger one today. Absolute banger one. Thank you to the chat for being so involved. Downtime in the Ring is with us. If you're a pro wrestling fan and you're tuning into us on a Saturday morning because you love your local pro wrestling, Downtime in the Ring, which has a really good YouTube channel, check they out. They're hitting local and regional pro wrestling and telling stories, and you'll start to notice the patterns, fans of independent promotions. A lot of these guys that perform in Texas, they perform here, they perform in Arizona, they perform in Colorado and Utah, and Oklahoma's got a weird state commission like New Mexico does, but guys will get over there and perform too. It is too good. Also, I can't call out everyone in the live chat, but it's felt. It is noticed. So thank you to those who take the time. Also, if you're ever interested in being a part, Saleh and I often record these episodes Thursday, Friday nights, kind of whatever works best to keep it as relevant for Saturday morning. But you can find us on our social media outlets at Duke City Championship Wrestling. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's all the things. So find us. We'll be here for you. I think the YouTube is at DCC Dub. We're talking a bit about the state fair and, just how special it was to get in front of. And again, Nikhil McClellan wrote us a lovely article. It was on the front page of the Journal. Excellent. We've been fortunate to be on the front page of the Journal a couple times, and it's neat. I think you often, no, not often. That's not fair. I'm projecting. I think there can be the perception that Albuquerque doesn't have it together. Albuquerque's too hard. Albuquerque's too violent. Albuquerque's too rough. I mean, I could keep going down this road, but you know where I'm going. And if you take time with the Journal, the Albuquerque Journal, you're going to see a lot of stories that are not the perception that you've convinced yourself of. There's so much going on in this community. If it's arts or entertainment or culture or sports or community engagement or individuals that want to help other individuals, it exists. And it's right there for you. We're going to sat down with Nikhil McClellan on 2 Men On earlier this week. We're going to run that at the end of this episode today. So stick around with us terrestrially. If you missed it during the week, it's myself and my co-host Van, only of 2 Men On, sitting down with her and talking about the story and her excitement about covering news in her hometown. You know, because that's a dream for a lot of people. That's a dream. The chat is alive, but they're giving me some good stuff here. So let's bring it on air. The women's division is developing in DCCW along with the tag team's possible DCCW championship for the ring ladies. This is a great question. So I think everyone is aware that we debuted new championship belts at Locked In at the Rio Rancho Event Center. Went over like bangers. Joel Ruda Entertainment. Cannot say this lightly enough. And if you need a belt for anything, I'm talking like your office. I'm talking your fantasy football league. I'm like, if there's a thing that you want to celebrate, your favorite presidential candidate does well, and you want to celebrate that, like Joel will make you that thing. And we sent Joel, like we scratched out ideas on a napkin. We said, hey, I got a little pin here. I got a little nappy boy. Let me just draw out A, B, C, and D. And the women's is interesting. Our women performers, because we've been fortunate to have really good ones that are now wrestling with NWA, AEW, Ring of Honor. These ladies have gone on to do really big stuff. Eliza Hayes just won a championship in Canada. Spectacular. Angelica Risk on Ring of Honor just this week. Lilith Gurm regularly on AEW. Adrian Mascara, I would love to make the face of everything we have going on down here. But it's incredibly difficult because they're in such high demand. And there'll be a change in 2025. So don't be confused on that champion of Duke City Championship Wrestling out there. There'll be a change because right now our current venue contract, we can't plan more than roughly 30 days out because the El Rey is in such high demand. We have the coolest venue in town. We have a 120-year-old theater that is a character in itself of the story. You know who else wants that? Punk band, rock band, rapper, DJs, burlesque shows. I mean, I could run the list on who wants this venue. And with the way the ring sets up, we kind of max out around 500. Like that's our capacity. Like we cannot bring in more than that at the El Rey. You take that ring off the floor, you put 1,000 people in there, which is crazy to think about. You get rid of all those chairs, you can put 1,000 people in there. They got that big show that comes in, Rastafarian, whatever. Yes, El Rey, go get it. So that's why it's been tough with the women. You know, that's full transparency. We reach out all the time, regularly. Hey, are you available? No. Oh. Miss Kath is a big deal. I really like her. She comes up from El Paso. She's got a world of talent. We got a women's match this weekend. If you come out later today at the terrestrial airing of this, it's so funny to record at night for a morning. Come up to Santa Fe as we are exploring the world of Mexican art and culture through luchador wrestling. We got a women's match. It's going to be really, really good. But yeah, the 26th, women not on the card again. But we do have some presence in our storytelling. Kat Peldrell is joining our team. We're super excited about her. You know her from, well, Mr. Peldrell's, the barbecue, but she's hired gun singer here in town, world of talent. Made her debut with us at Locked In. We're going to put a microphone on her. She's really good. You know, because I think that's so wildly important in sports and entertainment is to be able to have characters and individuals that look like the audience that's absorbing it. You know, and I could give you the names, but there's no reason to. You know, it's not a bunch of 6'6" white guys like me. You know, it's everything. You know, it's all colors of the rainbow and all shapes and sizes. And, you know, I'll use like Ronan as an example. Ronan, an up-and-coming wrestler. Before he started getting in the ring with us, before he started doing that thing, He wasn't doing things. Like, really admirable day job. Wonderful family man. You put him in the ring, he looks like a lot of the individuals that comes to shows, and he's awesome for it. There's so much of that. There's so much of connectivity. There's so much of acceptance, in that audience. I think that's part of the story. The tag team belts are different. Like I said, it's starting off this month, the 26th. Come out to the historic El Rey Theater, dccwtickets.com. Also with DCCW, Duke City Championship Wrestling, I'm in the ownership group. Don't get that confused, listener. Like, if you buy tickets to it, you're sliding money into my pockets, money that I immediately pull out and put into the world of pro wrestling. But if you do, come out and see, we're starting that tag team story right now. And we're going to hand those belts over, and the belts are brilliant. Often I play humble and dumb on this, but I'll be real transparent. This one was kind of from the top of my head, which was our tag team titles. One of the belts is red and one of the belts is green. We're calling them the Chili Champs. It's the red and green. Like, what do you go with? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Because there's like a level of creativity to it that's not the traditional cashed in, right? Like, it's not another tag team. It's not another name of the organization tag team. It's, it's got something special to it. And whoever is so fortunate to be the inaugural, that's going to be cool. It's going to be a cool moment. The world of pro wrestling and its fans with these suggestions, by the way, that was a tremendous one. It's because everyone likes the thing that they're passionate about. Like, they like their favorite aspect of wrestling. My favorite aspect of wrestling is not the action in the ring. Like, suplexes are great. Like, love them. DDTs are great. Love them. Shooting star presses are tremendous, and pit stops are fun, and tornado DDTs are special, and running knees and clotheslines and lariats, and we can go through all these things. All of my favorite pro wrestling moments from the time I was a kid to right now with this promotion that I'm so very fortunate to be in the ownership group of, all my favorite moments are microphone. All my favorite moments are storytelling. And the best swerve in pro wrestling, the best betrayal in pro wrestling, the best turncoat or Benedict Arnold in pro wrestling is as good as any swerve in any television show you've ever seen. It's as good as any betrayal. It's the end of Game of Thrones. It's the start of Breaking Bad. It's the intensity of your favorite Hollywood blockbusters. And those are my favorite moments. Going back to, my childhood, which is a real fun one. It's Hulk Hogan coming out at Bash in the Beach and joining the NWO. It's Batista giving the thumbs down to Triple H. I could keep going. I could go forever ever on this. Triple H is actually low-key kind of a part of a lot of these, but you get the idea. It's that. And that's what, we hope to do with that TV product. And that part can super never be lost, and so this feedback comes, right? Like, say you're a live in attendance only fan. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for coming to all the shows. Thank you for supporting. And you have a suggestion. You want to see an immediate change to a thing. I love that. Please keep in mind, we have 4 more episodes that have to come out on the internet. And then we are a month away from recording. And there's so much more story to tell because we have 500 people at the historic El Rey Theater once a month. A little bit less recently. We did put 800 in at the Rio Rancho Event Center, and that was incredible to me. But for the whatever number, 500 in attendance, there's 10 times that on the YouTube. It's a different audience. It's a bigger audience. It's a different type of telling story, and you're telling story to where? Right here, the screen in front of you. You're not talking to a PA over a crowd about an audience that can't be seen. Talk about what's on the camera. We do some fun stuff. It's, hey, we use a lot of valets. We use a lot of managers. We use a lot of outside storytelling where ProView Networks, who by the way is tremendous, is trying to capture these images so we can tell these stories. And telling these stories is hard when they're not on camera. That's the fun stuff. From the live chat, we'll be seeing some more stuff with NWA. That's a great question. Brian Idle's out here on the 26th. I'll tell you that. as far as people I've met in the industry that get it, that mentally up top are professionals, that physically are professionals, Brian Idle is top tier in every single definition of that phrase, top tier. He is a special, special talent. The card is out. Go to the Instagram page, Duke City Championship Wrestling. Brian Idle's taking on Thunder. That's a big deal. Thunder just lost his championship. Where does he currently stand storyline-wise? Him and Matthew Robles might be at odds. They might not sure. I know Brian Idle would love another shot at Hobo Hank. The third time they tell a story, heck yeah. And maybe for the belt, heck yeah. But Brian Idle will be with us. Also, fun note, going out to Florida to work with NWA on a thing. So we got a fun thing in the works. We're gonna sit down and have a big conversation about everything in the world of pro wrestling. Going out there the first weekend in October. You know what that means for me, your boy. I don't get to watch the balloons go up for the first time on Saturday. That's okay. Saturday the 5th. I am live. 2 Men On is live from the Balloon Fiesta Friday the 11th, I think. Whatever that date is for that Friday. That's fun to get to be out there. Everyone's in their car listening. Everyone's tuned in. We get, bringing the balloon glow like live on air is awesome. And with any luck, the Lobos will have won a game by then, which will be awesome. From the live chat, Thunder versus Brian Idle. I wonder who will get booed more. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Got some fun tag team stuff. Tommy Test and Turbo Tony are going to take on Class and Reno. Super excited about that. Those guys all have a ton of talent. Chewy Martinez returns to Duke City Championship Wrestling after a 1-month hiatus. Welcome back to Chewy. He's going to fight Sim Bodie. I know Sim Bodie's also out at his promotion at I believe it's this weekend. Might even be tonight. Might be next week. Mass Hard. It's going to be wild to have him out. Mr. Happy versus Jaden Money Monroe for the Route 66 Championship. Jaden Money Monroe is on a rocket ship in Duke City Championship Wrestling. He's going to the top. And then, of course, your main event is Hobo Hank and Baba Thunder, and that's going to be just as good, if not better than as good. So it's going to be a tremendous one. I mean, it's going to be a banger one. Tag teams will start the show. Manny Lemons and Enrique Calderon, Valak Vile and Charlie 50. Just a lot of good pro wrestling at the El Rey. And then we're gonna announce our next date. But if you're a fan of the radio show, I might as well spoil it for you. We're gonna go Halloween night. Like, we're gonna do a whole costume themed fun event. It's gonna be awesome. And at the end, are we the best pro wrestling promotion in the world? Oh gosh, no. We know who is. But are we doing really fun and unique stuff here in this community that people hopefully are going to remember for a long time? Heck yes, we are. That's what it's about. Part of that was the time that the Albuquerque Journal took with us over last weekend to put us on the front page. Big thank you to them. Nikhil McClellan joined us on my other show, 2 Men On, Monday through Friday. We talked to her about why she picked pro wrestling. She came to the State Fair not knowing what story she was going to tell, and it jumped out right in front of her. And she talks about that. She talks about what other things that she covers here in the city, which a lot of arts and culture and current events. And we're going to replay that interview right now, and that's going to be a lot of fun for the terrestrial audience. Everyone who was with us live on this recording, thank you for taking the time. And I'll talk to the chat a lot. Chat is like a noun now and a verb. Like, solo streamer podcaster. Hey, chat. Smash the like button. Like, we don't do that here. I'm such an old head radio guy. 20 years. I've been in radio 21 years. The chat, the texter, 505-246-0610. I go back and read the texter. The text sent on, what is today? September 20th, 21st, 2024. I go back 1 year. It's the exact same text. I think the Lobos will win this weekend. They're going to go play a quarterback. Yeah, what are you doing? Just living on repeat? Like, get in the moment, y'all. Get in the moment from the live chat. You guys should think about a spooky rumble. I don't hate it. Yeah, we should think about a spooky rumble. That stuff's the funnest. It is a good time to be a pro wrestling fan here. Nikhila McClellan joins us after the break. She's a writer with the Albuquerque Journal, and she is very good, and her passion bleeds through, and how fortunate we were to get her on 2 Men On. Also, the noise in the background you're going to hear, Not live, are we? But that was pre-recorded at Sadie's. It was a banger night. They do that Thursday Night Football over at Sadie's. Sadie's on 4th. They got that big patio. It is so fun. It is too good. Get out there, hang out with Day. For everyone in the chat, thank you for sitting around with us. When we get back from the break, it's Nikhila McClellan. You're listening to Going Over on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Hey, gang, thanks for hanging out. There's like a ton of you in here, so that was awesome. Solo radio is like the weirdest. There's no punchlines, there's no jokes. And if you're laughing at home, like I have no idea. It's like Saleh's not here to tell, like, to give that response. I can't laugh at Saleh or whoever. If you haven't been watching The Real Show, because I've weaned myself off of that a little bit, it's been kind of wild too, because like Kevin and Fernando and Gabe and these guys, they sit down and it's like a different art. Not just a storytelling, but recapping what's going on. And then these guys are so funny. Like, people will send me stuff and they'll be like, hey, did you see on The Real Show something? And you go, yeah, I mean, those guys are funny, of course. I mean, that's what's going on. And they'll say, no, you should incorporate that into the storylines or whatever. And it's in the storylines. Like, the only canon storyline is the YouTube. Like, that's like, I can't ask people to go watch 3 extra hours of radio shows and recap shows and make sure they read specific social media tweets. That's ludicrous. Hey, trying to, I felt like there's a little heat between, Tony Davis and no, there was. What are you doing? It's perfectly fine. So funny. The internet fandom of wrestling is wild. Like, I didn't know, none of this is going to make the air, but like when I worked for WWE a long time, and I'll go out onto these press conference things, worked for, it's like a partnership. It's like worked for, like I've never got a WWE paycheck. I just get like fun perks and some travel and whatever. So it's not even, it's like tickets. It's like press passes. It's not even like they're nice to me. Like, that's what this relationship is. Like, they give me some validity. So anyway, so I go out to these things and I'll ask a question at a press conference, or I'll do whatever, a thing with a wrestler you're familiar with or a broadcaster you've heard of. In the internet, the wrestling internet, the Reddit internet, the message board internet, the social media internet, they'll go, hey, that guy sucks. And you go, oh, God, I got him. Like, cool. Like, you peeled that time off of your life because you didn't like the way that question was framed. You didn't like the way that went out into the world. Okay. Never have I been consuming a piece of media. And I don't doom scroll, though. So it's not like I'm the guy who's, I guess, is really the best example for this. But never have I been like, that content you're creating? That thing you yearn to do, but so many people don't in their life create the thing they yearn to create because they're absolutely polarized and paralyzed and terrified of the critique that could come, the critique that, which, by the way, you're giving. That thing you yearn to create and put out? It sucks. Like, what? Like, that's your life? And it's like a wild one too, because it's like something goes up. I don't know what it is. A social media post or a meme or we're sharing something a fan made, or I don't know, whatever it is. 30 seconds in. 30 seconds. Bing. This thing isn't the exact thing I would do. Bing. Like, okay. Like, medically, I don't know what that's called, but that's wild to me. From the chat, a DCCW press conference would be interesting. We did some fun stuff with Downtime in the Ring. Downtime in the Ring came out to our last show at the Rio Rancho Event Center, and they did like a panel thing. We set it up at this at the tailgate on front. The tailgate was so fun. Homies came out. We had an inflatable wrestling ring for kids to play in. Hey, Fred, I hate it that my favorite wrestler isn't winning, but I can't necessarily say anything positive about your inflatable wrestling ring. That'd be contradictory. The one thing I don't like, so I don't like everything. That's what it feels like sometimes. So Downtime in the Ring, those guys can be my press guys forever. Like they're so good. Like, and they love pro wrestling. Like dead ass. They love pro wrestling. Like I really like pro wrestling. Like, and I really like being an entrepreneur, and I really like having my business. My radio show is a business. You know, like these are things I really like. And pro wrestling, I don't even know if this is like a super public story, but pro wrestling exists, at least with my involvement, because Aaron Burnett didn't want to make a wiffle ball league. Like that's why pro wrestling has myself and Aaron Burnett and Fernando Gonzalez and, you know, Hobo Hank. That's why we're doing this. Because I said, Aaron, do you want to start pro wrestling or do you want to start wiffle ball? And Aaron said, well, I got the El Rey. Aaron's in the ownership group of the El Rey. He said, I got the El Rey. We do pro wrestling. He says, I don't have a field. It's like, oh, good point. I was like, I think I could find a field. We could run a wiffle ball league. He goes, brother, I got the El Rey. Let's do pro wrestling. Call Hobo Hank. Hey, buddy, I think we want to do pro wrestling. He's like, who is this? How'd you get my number? Like, no, we did a podcast a long time ago. We're cool, I promise. That's the thing too. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to spill too much, but like, if you call me, like, my number's on everything. It's on the website. It's on I'll just answer. Like, what? You got a cool idea? You got something fun you want to do? The Downtime in the Ring guys. That's how we got a hold of them. It's called. They're like, hey, we really like pro wrestling. We want to be a part of it in this facet. Cool. Let's go. Poor Downtime in the Ring guys. So they call, and I guess this must have been 3 months ago. 3 months ago. So we're like right around our anniversary show. It's going awesome. That's when we brought in the Prime Wrestling guys. So we did like a fun showcase before. It was our biggest audience we ever had over at the El Rey. It was awesome. And then they call and they're like, hey, we see you're doing some cool stuff and you got some local guys. Like, we want to come on. I'm like, yeah, great. Come out. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So we set them up. We set them up to do like some interviews and some backstage stuff. And it's going to go good, but like my dad dies. It's like my father passed away. He was not supposed to die, and he does. So I have to leave. I have to leave town. He dies 2 days before whatever that show was in June. So I just get in my car and I call my guys. I call my co-owners. I'm like, hey, boys, I got to be gone a little bit, and anyone who's experienced the loss I'm talking about, you kind of know that it's all consuming, but it's not all engaging. Like there are like moments of brevity, like, and you look for, what's that word? Cathartic. You look for like moments when you can, find your reality and escape from. So anyways, I don't know if they want me. I'm sure they do. Donovan. So I reach out and I'm like, hey brother, my dad passed away. I got to go do this thing. Like, I got to be with my family. Like, I'm going to miss the show. I've never missed a show, I'm like, I'm going to miss the show. Like, go out there. All my boys got you. So anyways, go do my dad stuff. I don't know how long, a couple weeks. I come back. Donovan goes, he goes, hey brother, really liked it. Didn't have a ton of direction. And I go, D, I was busy. Like pro wrestling was not my world at this moment. Like, ton of direction. Like, you're a super talented guy. Like, go create yourself. He's like, I don't know, dude. I'm just a little apprehensive. I'm like, go over. The name of this show is Going Over. Like, go over. Like, go be that big personality. So anyways, they come back. They come back for the Rio Rancho show. Oh my God, can't stop them. Like, they're pulling everyone. Hey, it's Downtime in the Ring. We're here with so-and-so. We want to talk about this and that and the other thing. And go. And you're like, okay, like, that's the stuff. Bunch of good interviews. They had to sit down with Tyler Copeland, the infamous one, which was as good as any interview you will ever see about about independent wrestling and local promotions. The live chat says, let me pull this up right here. Which big name / independent wrestlers would you love to see in DCCW? There's a really good thing going on in Denver. It's called Lucha Libre and Laughs. And I've reached out to those guys about some work. And I'm going to pull it up so I got all the information here correct. So they do it at the Oriental Theater in Denver. And it's at Lucha Libre and Laugh on all of their stuff. They're excellent. They're just incredibly good. And we talked and we tried to rush it and we couldn't get it together. But we talked about doing a program at the Santa Fe Rail Yards, which I do believe we'll get, probably not till 2025 though. And it was a really cool idea because who I'd like to see, I'm getting to the answer, sorry, long-winded, is I'd like to see a performer who could come in, and this Lucha Libre and Laughs is so funny. So they do stand-up comedy, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a real big fan of grown folks comedy. Like I no offense, like kids these days. I don't love getting in front of like younger audiences like that. Like I really like kids. Like if we can make a family friendly product, let's go. That's really important to me. But we're in our early to mid 20s and we're just learning how to socialize. We're just learning how to drink or party, and specifically like post COVID. So I'd really like to do like a grown folks kind of thing where we have stand-up comedy, because this is what they do with the Lucha Libre and Laughs. And like I said, I've had conversations with them. This is not super public stuff, but the idea is they do the stand-up and then they do the pro wrestling, and they like alternate. So it's I don't know the exact formula, but it's they have an opener for stand-up, they wrestle a couple matches, somebody comes out to stand-up, they wrestle a couple matches. It's pretty brilliant the way I see it. So to answer that question is I'd like to get pro wrestler who could do both. You know, I'd like to get those guys, and I would reach out to Nick Namath, kind of comes to mind. You know, a guy who's got a stand-up set and can pro wrestle. Colt Cabana, a guy who's got a stand-up set and can pro wrestle. You know, those are the guys, and I'd like to do it for that event. You know, and then outside of that, like TV-wise, I'm super in love with our roster. You know, and like Baba Thunder coming in is a big deal. Obviously, NXT and WWE, Sin Bodhi being with us. Like, will these guys be with us forever? I mean, that remains to be seen. You know, but Brian Idol came in as a one-off with NWA, and I'm obsessed with him. I think he's just a tremendous wrestler in person. You know, so I think that's the answer. You know, it's those guys. So if we were able to find that partnership with Lucha Libre and Laughs, which by the way, I'd love to bring those guys down. I don't necessarily need to do it. I want a partnership on it. But that's who I'd want. I'd want to bring in a guy who could pro wrestle and stand up comedic at the same time. I mean, not like during the match. You know who's wildly funny that we have in Duke City Championship Wrestling? I think we do really well at that is Macho Libre. Macho Libre is as funny of a pro wrestling character as I've ever seen. When he gets beat up and he does, oh, my lucha arm, I'm dying laughing. There's a brilliance to it, like a whole brilliance. All right, what's this text say here? So I would love to see Joe Hendry in DCCW. So here's how I'm going to show my ignorance. I don't know all of the guys. Like, I don't know who everyone is. Specifically, if it's like a gimmick name. I'm pulling up Joe Hendry right now. I mean, this guy looks like a guy. NXT, WWE, TNA. Longest reigning TNA DJ. All right, so I do know who this cat is. Sings a little bit. I mean, that's the thing about this world too, right? Where like you have pro wrestlers who are like wildly good at pro wrestling. They're wildly good kind of at everything. You know, they're wildly good at entertaining. Like singers, performers, dancers, actors. I'm a really good juggler. There are better jugglers than me. It's just it's the best group of artisans that I've ever seen. Like this medium of artisan. I met a bunch of stand-up comedians, can't do anything else in their life. They get done with their set, they go right outside, just ripping darts. Like they can't, it's over for them. That was it. That was their thing. And like comedic actors, same kind of thing. You know, I know a handful, like through my weird entertainment life, and can't tell jokes to save their lives. Best comedic actors you've ever seen. You know, and then you get into the world of, I mean, musicians is like, that's the hardest one. You know, if you have a musician in your life that you love, like do this thing I'm about to say, which is call them regularly, like just check in on them, check in on their mental health. It is such a hard world. But pro wrestlers, they got like another aspect. Theater is the good. This is a good note here. Theater, it takes a certain type. It takes a certain type to live in that world, and these guys live in all of it, like all encompassing. You know, and the least talented dude in the room is me, like every time. Like I'm okay at this part, and I'm only okay because really I'm like a sales guy with a radio job. Like if I didn't have a radio hobby as a guy who could do sales, radio's not it's not doable. Like this isn't the 90s anymore. You know, I'm not like a gimmick radio name. You know, you listen to Fred Slow and Van Lunley on Two Men On. You don't listen to, you know, Shooter in the Skews, which is what they used to do. When these guys would draw not just 6-figure salary. Like, by the way, the 90s was wild in radio. You make 300 grand. You the big voice guy at like the classic rock station in town. Like you are a comfortable dude. That ain't the world anymore. The world is underwritten content and sponsored content and dry reads and inventory and spots. It's nuts. It's low-key nuts. And a million relationships. I think everyone kind of says this who's been fortunate to find success in the field that they've chosen to be passionate about. But you end up not even about that field. You end up just only being about people. Like it's pro wrestling is the people business. Talk radio is the people business. I got a day job. I got like a shoot job where I do fundraising for the Boys and Girls Club. It's the best. You know, it's helping kids. It's the coolest thing. Yes, you can send letters to businesses. You can cold call corporations, and maybe some people will help you. You take the time to learn someone and listen to someone. Oh my gosh. The amount of success you can have with a really good relationship, you know, not everyone has them. And, you know, especially like in the wrestling world, like how quickly I can claim I don't know anything about it. You know, it's been so much learning. And also like vetting. You know, because you'll get some advice from people and it's terrible. And I mean like people who pursue the title starving artist. Like like a dog chasing their tail. Like if they found success, they wouldn't know what to do with it. When the dog catches his tail, he only harms himself. And you take this advice and you have to, like I said, vet, you have to put it through. First of all, is it honest? Second, is it fair to all involved? It's like the rules of the Rotary. Is it the truth? Like, and then because, you know, there's so many personalities in this thing, and they're all fabulous storytellers. You know, they tell stories for a living, myself included, tell stories for a living. And they can take a thing that I think pretty easily can be identified as opinion and presented as fact. And that's where it gets real confusing to people. Because you can create, and by the way, maybe I'm talking about your favorite wrestler. You know, maybe I'm talking about your favorite promoter. Maybe I'm talking about your favorite personality that surrounds this thing. Or maybe I'm talking about your least. You know, that's the thing too, because it's all about perspective, which is a tough word for me at 10:38 on a Friday night. But these individuals in this world, and primarily we're talking about pro wrestling, but it's true in radio, it's true in TV, it's true in all aspects of entertainment. A bunch of people who are really good present their opinion as facts, and that's why people confuse Fox News as actual news. It's a all opinion channel. I think that's what pro wrestling is, right? That's just our opinion of what pro wrestling should look like. It's not a truth. It's not a fact. I think if you put a possessive on it, maybe it is. If you say it's our truth, it's our fact, not the letter, the O-U-R. This is Duke City Championship Wrestling's truth. Here it is. And you get a bunch of revisionist stuff too, right? So it's like, use WWE as an example. WWE buys WCW. They own all this different stuff. And then they start retelling the stories. They start retelling the Monday Night War stories. They start retelling the Generation X stories. They start retelling stuff from the 80s. And it's not as I remember it. Like the package they're given today. Oh, my 39. The package they're given today to fans that are learning about it today, not fans that live through it, it's not what happened. It's not even close. I guess it's close. But like, does any of that really matter? Because what is it in the end? It's just a story that's being told about pro wrestling. That's all it is in the end. I think that's lost, because it's confusing. It's super confusing. Whenever that suspension of disbelief is so blurred. Like my name is Fred. Like my name is not even my legal name is Manfred, but my name is Fred. Freddie Fame is a character. Fabulous Freddie Fame. Professional promoter. Fabulous Freddie Fame. All those P's and F's are on purpose. Alliteration. That's a character. On this microphone, on this broadcast, in that wrestling, or all those things, they're all characters. Sally Taylor, character. Well, Sally Taylor's a real guy, I guess, but the Samoan Nightmare, the Polynesian Prince, For Sale, it's all a character. And then there's like a level of confusion, right? Where it's, hey, this, pick a milestone, win, spot on the card, championship. This thing's really, really valuable. It's not. It's all, telling a really good story is what is valuable. Also, what I just did there, that's presenting my opinion, right? So it's, at the end of the day, you say what's the best part? What's the whatever? And, and the best part is that everyone finds their own best part. Everyone has that personal truth. When I walk around in everyday life, I don't know what you call that, everyday life. I don't know. I wear a blazer all the time. I don't tell people I'm Fabulous Freddie Fame. Fred Slow. And I'm only Fred Slow because I'm on the radio. I'd probably still be Manfred otherwise, but Manfred is confusing to the audience. So I go with Fred. Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. My name is Manfred Slow, and we're excited to tell you about high school football scores. That was me when I was a kid. People will call the radio station, 89.9 WLCA. Back in my college days. They say, what'd you say your name was? Thought you were calling to talk to me about the quarterback at Edwardsville High. No, my name's too confusing. Got it. Changed. I'm Fred. And Fred's like the most boring name you could. I know there's no real end to this diatribe here, but I tell people my name's Fred. They go, nuh-uh. What? Like, what? What do you mean? Who just makes up that name? From the live chat, like to talk about Joel Ruda. I like Joel Ruda. I'm a Joel Ruda fan. Joel Ruda with Ruda Entertainment. I'll pull up his stuff right here. So the Joel Ruda stuff is wild because he reached out a couple months ago, 2 months ago. It was right when my dad passed. And he says, hey, brother, I got a pro wrestling persona. Like, I'm hecka good at some stuff. By the way, I make championship belts. That's my deal. Like, I'm pretty good at it. And the number of people, because pro wrestling, I don't know if it's promoter or fan or individual, for whatever reason, will take the easiest path, like every time. So these guys will reach out. Sorry, as I fix my headset. These guys will reach out and they'll say, hey, brother, your title is not great. Like, maybe not in as many words, but they'll be like, hey, that thing is pretty cookie cutter. We know, here's the website you got it off of. We know it costs $250 or whatever. Like, I can do you much better. Oh, okay. Like, talk to me about it. Like, walk me through it. Nothing. Chirps. They're like, well, we send you the website. Just click on the things you want. You'll get one. I don't. We already have that. Like, we already have the thing with the plate on it, and our original title was great. Like, we got it when we got that title. It was like, what's the best way to say this? It was the best. And I know that's like simple, but it was like, that was the title. That was like, we put it on top of that. We hung it from the ceiling of the El Rey, and we had to go up the ladder to get it, and Thunder wins it. And it was awesome. And then what happened, the promotion grew, and as it grew, the title we had, we couldn't have a title that was, just with a different logo over the shoulder of so many other wrestlers and so many other promotions, because they got their title the same way we got ours. And, again, Joel Ruda with his Ruda Entertainment, which is incredible. So he says, hey, man, like, walk me through like what you guys are trying to do. Like, I have a really talented team, and we like FaceTime. It's like me and him and Hobo Hank, and we're going through it, and we're like, hey, we can do, this, that, or the other thing. He's like, yeah, I can get really close to all these ideas. And then he blows all these ideas out of the water. Like, the dude's such a pro at it. And I'm like, hey, I got a small idea or a small tweak, or the tag team belt's a really good example. I'm like, hey, I want one to have a red belt for red chilies and a green belt for green chilies. He's like, brilliant. By the way, let me throw some chilies on there. And we mocked up some, because we were working with the sponsor. We were going to put a sponsor on the belt. So he even mocked that stuff up for us, just put in a ton of work. And then he comes out, and we run this, and we're doing it at the next show too. Like, if you want to win a belt, we're doing the same win a belt 50-50 drawing that we did last time. So he comes out, and he's got the belts, and we put them over the shoulders of, like I said, the whole thing has just grown so much. Some of our support staff. So we put it over the shoulders of some of the gals that work for us who are really personable, and we parade them around, and we sell the 50-50, and it's awesome. It's just super awesome. So all that, this is the business side. All that stuff gets covered, and it's like a really minimal cost to everyone. And that was the thing too, where it was, hey, let's talk about other ways to do it than the traditional click through, write us a check, because that's not the relationships we're looking for. From the live chat, I made up my own character when I started doing the interviews, and it's been fun since. That's Duke City Warriors. Duke City Warriors is a crazy part of our story too. The fandom early in this was cool, because before we had kind of established what it was, there was so many fans out there that were theater of the mind, right? So they remembered what New Mexico was as it related to pro wrestling. The years around the pandemic, the DWO years before that, and that's a cool organization for a lot of reasons, and their story came to an end, for a lot of reasons. I think everything's got a level of complexity. And now what it is with Phase 1 and some of the other stuff going on. By the way, good name for a promotion. And going back to, the 70s with Mike London and kind of the history of it here. So whenever we started Duke City Championship Wrestling, the theater of the mind took over for what kind of felt like everyone. So we had a bunch of old head fans show up that were, expecting, like a certain thing, and they got a different thing, or maybe they expected a different thing and they got a thing they were familiar with. Who knows? Interpretation's hard. But then there was a bunch of, like weird instances, right? Where it was, hey, I've been a fan of pro wrestling my whole life, but unfortunately I can't support your product for a reason. Now, how about reason X? That makes more sense. Oh, okay. But if you change reason X, like, I'm here to support. Oh, we're not making pro wrestling for you. We're making pro wrestling for all. Just like radio. This is Duke City Championship Wrestling is not a podcast. It's not a narrow cast. It's a broadcast. And I think it's the one. JJ in the chat, he says, how's it going? I'm interested in Duke Championship Wrestling. I think I texted you like a month ago. Jordan texts again. Let me apologize if I fell flat on that. On the personal note, like I said with my father passing, like oh my God, my phone's not on me. I think it's in the car, but the number of things that just didn't stop. And that's the crazy thing about it. And I have not really done a radio thing with that part of my life. But my world had come to a screeching halt. And the rest of the world didn't. And that was wild to me. I'll tell you what was really special, though, was number one, my ownership group. The support they showed was like wild. Like wild support. And performers. If it was a text, hey, got you, hey, care about you, hey, sorry for your loss. Like I got it up here. Like I know everyone who did. And again, in this, this fickle world of entertainment that I live in, it's incredible to build like certain bonds. And the people that take the time and connect with you, they're special. And that's what I felt, from a lot of those performers and support staff. ProV Networks calls me. Their owner, Steve Davis, he's like, brother, we got you. That means a lot to me. The pro wrestling fans, I went to that next show. My father passed in June. I go to the July show. And, we didn't say anything publicly. It was nothing like that. But the fan base comes out and they handshake or they high five or they hug and they say kind words to me. And that fills me with love. And that is awesome. The incredible part is the fellowship, right? Because like we built a bunch with a bunch of people. People who've never known each other know each other now. Yeah, just incredible. It's just an incredible thing. So Jordan, definitely reach out again, and let me apologize a million times over if at all I failed you in any way, because it was not my intention. Also, and there's a little bit of a punchline here, but it's not a big one. If Jordan was like, hey, I really want to get involved, and then didn't say anything, like, what am I going to do with that? Like cool. We do kind of have stuff for everything, though. Like we got a guy, Micah Frankel. We got a guy who sweeps up confetti mess in the ring, and he's over. He's over with the crowd. It's like sweep, sweep, sweep. We got a guy who works for us, Ryan. He came out. They're like cheering him on. I'm like, what are we doing? This show is ridiculous. We had a super poor decision about some chilies. Like one of our performers brought some chilies out. People are like throwing chilies. Like, you're not part of the show. Like, don't throw chilies at the wrestlers. Too funny. Yeah, like I said, absolute banger. Thank you for hanging out with me for a while. I know only 30 of this was making it to the air, but the other 30 was fun. It's I don't take enough time. It's like it's like if you can't slow down, you don't necessarily see what's around you. Like we're gonna go up to Santa Fe in the morning. We're gonna set up real early. Shows at 5:30. It's only an hour. We're only doing an hour of luchador wrestling. I don't really know any of these cats. They're all pretty new to me. But they're gonna get to tell, the story of Mexican art and pro wrestling in front of an audience that wants to absorb that, and that's gonna be incredible. And then afterwards, we have a sweet hotel partner. Big thank you to Choice Hotels. Big thank you to the Comfort Inn. We'll put these guys in a cool overnight, and hopefully they have a delicious breakfast, and they tell the story about how awesome it was to wrestle on the plaza of a museum. And maybe we're part of their story for a little bit. I mean, maybe. I'm sure there's some performers who have come to town and said, Duke City Wrestling, that's not for me. I'm not about... I don't know if it's a lot. It's some for sure. I know there's a bunch of people who call regularly. They say, hey, loved it when I was out there. Can I come back? The answer is more than likely yes. Always there's a factor in that stuff, but it's, what are we going to do with you? It's because, again, it's that TV thing, and the way our schedules are. And that's why the talent changes sometimes, because we go to Thursdays, I'm one of these guys too. It's, you got a day job. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't come over from Texas. You got a day job. Got to be back at work on Friday morning. Like, I totally get it. So maybe the summer roster looks a little bit different than the winter roster. I mean, that's just kind of is what it is. And also, no one's making off like a bandit here. It's like you come in and maybe you're fortunate to sell a cool t-shirt, and maybe you sell some stickers, and maybe you can use the TV product to get some bookings elsewhere, but we're not confused on what this is. We don't have like any high payrolls. We just got a bunch of guys that work really, really hard and do really well. It's awesome. It's an incredible thing. I don't know how to put a bow on it, but I got to put a bow on it because I got to edit out this pro wrestling show for in the morning. So everyone in the chat, thank you. Yeah, it kind of spiked kind of high there for a little bit. So super fun, and on a Friday night, maybe not necessarily my traditional audience, but I appreciate those who took the time and stayed home with us and did this thing. If there was a set time for this thing, I don't know how well it would go. Like, the impromptu of it, I think, is fun. Me and Saleh talked about that. We're like, oh, we should do it on whatever, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. or so. I'm just naming something. That's not what it was. And I'm like, I don't know. What do we do? Hit the exact same audience every week? Like, that's why it gets recorded. That's why it goes to podcast or whatever. Like, they can tune in whenever they want. Can you imagine telling someone how they had to consume your product? Like, hey, you better like it this exact way. No, what? Why? Why should I better like it that way? When I most like pro wrestling is when I'm driving in the car. Like, I'll turn on the Hulu because I don't need to see it. I've been watching pro wrestling for 30 years. I just listen. Go, okay. Yeah, it's not the worst. It's not the worst at all. And there's no takeaway from this, right? Because I'm on a soapbox here. There's no one really shutting me down or telling me to shut up. But, absorb it, appreciate it, enjoy it the exact way you want, because that's the only thing that matters in the end. And then, on top of that, I don't even really know the best way to say this. Don't inhibit how others enjoy it. Just because there's a sector of the audience out there that doesn't take it in the way that you do, I promise you that's okay. There's a ton of other stuff they do different than you. Maybe you put honey in your grits. Maybe they put cheese in theirs. Like, we're all still eating grits. Like, also, I don't know if grits even resonates down here in the Southwest. I think you can only get it at Cracker Barrel. But where I grew up, that analogy makes perfect sense. A lot of the chat saying sorry they miss shows. They tune in. Hey, we see you. We see you, fans and friends of Duke City Championship Wrestling. And the YouTube audience is like my favorite one, because that's like a huge ass audience that doesn't necessarily always get a chance to come out here and do our thing. The audience that's the live event and these streams and the YouTube, that's an intensity. I'm a fan of yours. Like, that's wild to me. Cats that come in from Wagon Wheel, cats that come in from north of Las Vegas, New Mexico, thank you. You know what I should do, though? Because we've been talking about some VIP stuff. We should figure out like a hotel discount for you guys or something, because some of these shows we do run late. That Rio Rancho show went to like 10:30. Good. Or maybe you guys are night owls. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe this is perfect for you. That's what I'm saying. It can always be the exact thing you want it to be. I'll kill it here. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with me on a Friday night. Podcast will be up pretty quick. Obviously, you can tune in tomorrow morning on 95.9 FM and AM 610, The Sports Animal. My co-host, Van, his show, Fill in the Holes, his golf-centric show, is going to air right after us. It's going to be a cool morning into Westwood One football. Just incredible. Just super fun. Good job, everyone. Keep breathing.